We have a very, very special guest with us today. And his new book is out.
A new book, yeah.
Got a brand new book here. Happiness is a Marathon. He's autographed with you. You participate during this next 45 to 50 minutes. You might get that book, or you might get another one. Which one is that?
And we got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that big stuff. So you can take notes inside of your little book. And special guest Matt Jones. Went from being a 3-time cancer conqueror to competing and completing in 8 marathons and 8 continents. After Dr. Doom, his doctor come in at age 25 and told him, you might not want to. I'm not walking. How about you get that news? Now you overcome. You're going to share 3 great principles of how you guys can be superheroes and how we all can be superheroes. Let's give them a very warm welcome.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Vince. Hey, isn't Vince amazing? We gotta get some Vince some love. Get some Vince some love, right? Wow. It is an absolute honor to be here. Originally from Kansas, I now live in Tampa, Florida. Yesterday it was 80 degrees. A little bit of a change. It's great to be here. If you would please, take a big deep breath in and breathe out. How big a check would you write for that? Every day we wake up, every breath in, every breath out, that's a victory. And I don't know about you, but sometimes it's easy to get caught up in all the negativity out there. And sometimes I can forget just the fact I woke up, just the fact that I'm alive. You can take a breath in and a breath out. So real quickly, come back from lunch, if you would please, just turn to someone your left, your right, give them a big high five, and say it's great to be alive. And of course, today is what? Now, does anybody know the founding city of Veterans Day? It's actually my hometown of Emporia, Kansas. Yeah, so if you're ever on Jeopardy and they ask that question, you can thank me later. So I want to share with you, start off with a quote I found this morning. A hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. And once again, we thank the veterans in this room. I know they were honored earlier. But I want to ask you a question as we think about this superhero theme. Let me ask you this. As a manager, assistant managers, your role in wireless world, let me ask you this. What's the number one benefit you provide? Leadership. Number one benefit you provide to your customers. I know we just come back after lunch. Guest experience. Anybody else? Trust. Guidance. I had a friend of mine, he used to live with me, we were roommates at the time, in Austin, Texas. And he was working in the cell phone industry. And he was so stressed out. He'd come home every day and say, man, I got this quota I got to meet. These customers, they're so demanding about their phones. Always stressed out. And I said, you know what? I think you're looking at it wrong. The ultimate benefit you provide is what? Yourself. You see, Sunday, I called my mom. I live in Tampa, she lives in Kansas. I was able to connect with her through that phone. You see, ultimately, I believe what you provide is that human connection. Think about it. How many times to be able to connect to families, to friends through that phone? Now, one of the areas that I study is positive psychology. And positive psychology, the number one predictor of happiness is relationships. So in my mind, you're in the relationship business. And it starts with how do you be a superhero? Realizing that you offer more than just a phone. Right? This is not a phone, is it? It's a way to connect. And think about it. For so many people, their most significant relationship is what? You ever think about that? How many people do you know that fall asleep and wake up to their phone? How many people do you know will spend most of their day with their... So how awesome. So what I'm trying to say is how awesome, how amazing you're in an industry where you have a profound opportunity to be a superhero to someone else. Because if someone breaks their phone or someone loses their phone, how many would say they start to freak out and have a bad day? And who's the solution to that? You see, each and every one of you are a superhero. And I want to prove it. If you would please take your index finger. As you look at your index finger, on your index finger, those lines. And what do we call those lines? Fingerprint. And what do we know about your fingerprint? Uniquely yours. 7 billion people in the world. And you're the only one who has that fingerprint. And just like you have that unique and special fingerprint, you have a unique and special purpose that only you can provide this world. Your superpower is you. If you would please, up on the screen, please read this as quickly as possible. Out loud, please. Please read it again. Now please read it again. This time pause after every single word. Did anyone notice anything the third time? You see, our brains are so powerful, so intelligent, but sometimes we have so much information that we take shortcuts. In this short time we have together, I come here, I'm going to share with you 3 simple choices. 3 simple choices to unlock the superpower within you. 3 choices I learned by being diagnosed with cancer my senior year of college. One point spread the fluid in my brain. Doctors did not think I would live. Not only had that, I had to relearn how to walk and completed a marathon on every continent. And I share that to say this. You get the benefit of my experience. You don't have to go through what I went through to get what I'm going to share with you. Because my hindsight can become your foresight. And I want to encourage you. I know it's right after lunch. And some of you traveled yesterday. Some of you were up late last night. And it's easy to get distracted. But I believe this. It's not a coincidence that you and I are here together. And I know this. In this short time we have together, there's something I have to say that you need to hear. And it could be the one thing that changes your life forever. If I can do it, you can do it. If you would have known me growing up, you would have said there's no way in a million years that I could be speaking in front of you. Because by nature, I'm an introvert. Any introverts in the room? In fact, I was so shy as a child, I couldn't even lead a group in silent prayer. 2 laughs, okay. And so I learned. So here, my very first report card, I want to show it to you. The last thing my kindergarten teacher said, to this day, I'm not even sure how I make it to first grade. The last thing she said, the very bottom, she says, I am concerned. What does that even mean, right? I mean, think about kindergarten. What do you do in kindergarten? You take a nap, you have a snack, and you color. And my kindergarten teacher was concerned, and my parents signed off on it. And then something profound happened to me, something life-changing. And one of the things I learned in life, sometimes the greatest curses become the greatest blessings. And one thing I learned is you can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose how you perceive it. One of my favorite quotes, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich said, every adversity, every heartache, every failure carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Did you know the average American reads less than one nonfiction book a year? You all get paid to read books. How amazing is that? At the same time, they watch over 30 hours of TV a week. And in 2001, right before American Idol came out, guess what the number one most popular TV show was in the world? Right before American Idol came out. Friends, Survivor, great guesses, close but not number one. 60 Minutes, close. It was actually a talk show.
Jerry Springer.
Yes, the Jerry Springer Show. How many of you seen Jerry Springer? Okay, all right. All right, how many have been on the show? We got a special session for you. But real quickly, let me ask you this question, real quickly. Visualize, picture your kitchen. Go to your kitchen at home. Go past all the dirty dishes or the dishes in the dishwasher need to be unloaded. Go to your refrigerator. Here's the question. What can you get out of your refrigerator? Beer. Okay, very honest. Very good. Okay, beer. Anybody else? What can you, right now, if we went to your refrigerator, what can we get out of it? You see, the answer is the same for everybody. You can only get out of your refrigerator what you put in it. And the same is true for your mind. What do you put in your mind on a daily basis? You see, you think about it. One of the reasons why I'm here today is because before I ever got sick, I read that book, Think and Grow Rich. And that one quote from that one book made all the difference. But imagine if I had been watching 30 hours of Jerry Springer. Probably wouldn't be here today. See, here's my philosophy. Whenever I go to a meeting like this or hear a speaker or read a book, if I can just learn one thing or be reminded of something I already knew and I'm either not doing or forgot, it's worth my whole time and investment. Because ultimately, it's not what you know, it's what you do. Up on the screen. There's me, shortly after being diagnosed with cancer, 9/11/2002. There I am going through full body radiation. There I am with my dad getting ready to go through my bone marrow transplant. And there at one point, because the cancer spread the fluid in my brain, they put a special device in my head, a port. And it actually got infected. They had to take it out, so now I have an indention. So we got a superhero right here, front row. Can you see the indention? Right there? Yep. That's it right here. So after my talk, for $5, I'll let you touch it. If you want a selfie for social media, it goes up to 10. Which reminds me of this, and write this down. Write this down. This is life-changing. This right here will change your life, because what I'm going to share with you right now is what allowed me to overcome that, to be here today. Are you ready for it? Oh, I got to get ready. It's life-changing, and it's so simple. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Let me ask you another way. Are you ready?
Yes.
Here it is. Lighten up, don't tighten up. Lighten up, don't tighten up. Now, you don't have to raise your hand, but how many know someone that just needs to lighten up? Oh, you raised your hand. I shared this at lunch. Where's the Minnesota people? Minnesota! Any Vikings fans? Woo! Any Cowboys fans? Woo! Wow, they're still cheering. Optimism, I like it. Lighten up, don't tighten up. The average 4-year-old laughs or smiles up to 400 times a day. Curious, how many of you have kids? How many have ever seen a kid? How many agree? 400 times a day they laugh and smile. But by the time they reach the age of 30, that number drops to 15. And how many of you have come across someone lately that needs a smile? Think about how many people come into your store and they need a smile. They come in there, you see, imagine how many people you interact on a day-to-day basis and they're going through some things. And yeah, they come in for a phone, but you have the opportunity to make a positive mark on their life. Let me give you an example. So I went through a bone marrow transplant. And anyone familiar with the bone marrow transplant? So basically they had to wipe out my immune system, and you get a whole new immune system. Now my donor is from Boston, and he has no allergies. So now I don't have any allergies. So I tell people, if you suffer from really bad allergies, you might want to consider the bone marrow transplant. And that process, my body was ravished. I'm 25 years young at KU Medical Center, downtown Kansas City, Kansas. And I was about ready to give up. I didn't know if I could go anymore. And I'm probably accurate, each one of you, sometime in your life, you've been knocked down. Because we've all gone through either health challenges or financial challenges or relationship challenges. And same as the customers who walk into your stores, the people that you lead. Don't raise your hand, but how many agree there's a lot of negativity in our country right now? And never, ever underestimate the impact, the difference that you can make from a smile. You see, I'll never forget Nurse Margot, because every time she walked through my hospital door, she had a smile. Over 15 years ago, and I still remember that smile. What do your customers, those people who walk through the door, what do they remember about you? Real quickly, if you would please, and everything we do is optional, but this is a room full of love and friends and family, and perhaps somebody here today needs a smile, and you give them that gift. And plus, we're right for lunch, so we'll probably have some leftover lunch in our mouth, which will be amazing and more fun. So if you would please, just turn to someone your left, your right, give them the biggest, cheesiest, show them all the teeth smile you have. Who needs some floss? Who needs some floss? You need help? Okay, once again, lighten up, don't. Let me give you an example of this. So at one point I was told by a doctor, I call her Dr. Doom. These are the type of people that brighten the whole room as soon as they leave. Who has some Dr. Dooms in their life? So she told me less than 10% chance of living to the age of 30. Last October, this past October, I turned 41. Victory! And I was reminded the other day, I went to the grocery store, I got a 6-pack of beer, and I'm going to check out, and the clerk says, "Sir, can I see your ID?" I got so excited. You know how long it's been since I've been ID'd? I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'm feeling so good, right? And so I'm reaching in my wallet to get my ID, and then she says to me, "Oh, never mind, I see gray." So I discovered this new product. It's called Just for Men. It's working pretty good. Lighten up, don't tighten up. You see, I think the reason why a 4-year-old laughs or smiles 400 times a day, because they're in the moment. And all we ever have is the moment. In the moment, for the moment. Feel the moment, be the moment. And what happens so often is people get caught up in the dead past or the imagined future. And they miss out on the only thing they have is the here and the now. I'll give you an example of this. A couple years ago, I was speaking a sales talk downtown New York City. The next morning, I'm scheduled to speak 8 a.m. in Portland, Oregon. I'm connecting, last flight out, connecting to Chicago O'Hare. I missed the flight, I missed my talk. I'm already stressed. So of course, my flight from New York to Chicago was delayed. We landed Chicago O'Hare 10 minutes before the boarding process. But we landed, so I'm like, okay, I'll be good, I can run my plane, I'll make it. Until they announced there's no open gates. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. We went 3 times around Chicago O'Hare trying to find an open gate. Has anyone traveled lately? And so finally, we find an open gate, we get in there, now it's 10 minutes through the boarding process. And I'll tell you something, they will call your name like 2 times, and then they will leave you. Well, finally, we get in there, like I said, and there's no ramp agent. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, how incompetent is this airline? You think they have someone there. Don't raise your hand, because anyone ever worked with or work with some incompetent people? good, no one. Let's go. Well, finally, this ramp agent comes, and he cannot figure out the ramp. And I'm watching this. The ramp's going yink, 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 yink. And I'm losing my mind. I'm like, you have one job. One job to do. Well, finally, he figures it out. So now it's me and all the other passengers rushing off the plane because we're all going to miss our connections. And so I run down the jetway. I find the airport worker. I said, ma'am, I've got to get to Portland, Oregon. What gate is it? Now, being an optimist, I just knew the arrival gate would be right next to the departure gate. Like, that never happens. And she looks at me and says, well, where are you going? I said, Portland, Oregon. And she's like, oh, no. I'm like, I don't like that. She says, that is 2 terminals away, and they're scheduled to shut the door in 5 minutes. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she looks at me and says, run, Forrest, run. I'm like, what? She's like, you better get running. So I take off. I'm running through Chicago. There's all these people. I'm dodging them on the left and the right, and I'm sweating, I'm huffing and puffing. I'm thinking to myself, Matt, you got to start working out more. And I get to the gate. There's the plane. The door is shut. This is the last flight out. I'm going to miss the talk. But I saw an airport worker. If nothing else in life, I'm persistent. So I run up to her and say, ma'am, I know you're not supposed to, but I've got to be on that plane. Just please, just make an exception. Let me on. I won't tell anybody. And she said, well, sir, where are you trying to get to? I said, Portland, Oregon. And she said, oh, well, that flight's been delayed for another hour. All that stress, all that worry, for what? And how many times do we stress out? How many times do we worry over stuff that doesn't even matter? So real quickly, I want to give you some positive affirmations. I'm going to write these down. Simple positive affirmations I use to help me stay in the moment. And the first one is, too blessed to be stressed. Too blessed to be stressed. Because every day we experience more blessings than stresses. Too blessed to be stressed. Second one is, too grateful to be hateful. Too grateful to be hateful. If you would, please repeat after me, too blessed to be stressed. And please repeat after me, too grateful to be hateful. And my new favorite one is, your ego is not your amigo. And you all can use that one. Your ego is not your amigo. Now, write this down. This is life-changing. If you would, please write this down. Love the good, don't hate the bad. Love the good, don't hate the bad. Because what I've learned in life is what you focus on is what you get back. And what you give energy to is what you receive. T. Harv Eker said this, where your attention goes, your energy flows, your results show. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, your results show. I want to do a demonstration real quickly. If you would, please, take your hands. Take your hands. Now, if you notice on the bottom of your hands, you have a line underneath your wrist. So a line underneath your wrist. Now I have like 1, 2, 3, but it's the one just underneath my wrist, that line. Everyone see that line underneath your wrist? So take those lines and line them up. So line up those lines. So see my 2 lines, I line those up. And if you line those up and put your hands together like this, if you're like 99% of the people, one hand will be longer than the other. If you line those lines up on your wrist. Everyone see that? How many have a shorter hand? Okay, so if you have a shorter hand, those who have a shorter hand, take your shorter hand, and what I'm going to show you is the power of the mind. What we're going to do is we're going to give it a positive affirmation. So what we're going to say is 10 times, your shorter hand, 10 times grow longer, okay? Stay with me. Just play with me. Ready? So 10 times. Here we go. Ready? Grow longer. Grow longer, 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 grow longer. Put your hands back together. And how many of your hands grew longer? The power of the mind. Woo! And as far as we know, that's the only thing it works with. Lighten up, don't tighten up. There's a Jewish proverb that says this, there's life and death in the power of the tongue. We just did a little demonstration showing the power of our thoughts, the power of our mind. So imagine when it comes to those you lead. You see, there's this thing called Beetle Bailey. You remember the cartoon Beetle Bailey? You remember he's always, the stars is always going after Beetle Bailey? And I have this thing called the Beetle Bailey effect. People will rise or fall based on the expectations you have of them. Let me repeat that. People will rise or fall based on the expectations you have of them. And that's why as a leader, you've got to speak words of encouragement, words of positivity. You've got to believe in others when they don't believe in themselves. You've got to be able to see the very best in people, because part of a leader is to be able to bring that out, realizing that each person you lead, just like you, has that unique and special fingerprint, unique and special purpose. Whew, so much. I'm just getting warmed up. How many have already learned something new or reminded something they already knew but they can use to make yourselves better? Can I see your hands? Whoo, we're just getting warmed up. I got to give something to you. Because of time, I'm going to give you a gift. If you would, please, I'm going to pass these out. Just put your name and your email. You just take one, just pass them around. Pass those around, pass those around. As many as possible. If you could help me do that, it'd be amazing. What I want to do is I want to give you some free gifts. And one gift I want to give you is my book right here. This is my hardcover book. Weighs 1 pound. So I got smart. After trying to take a bunch of these around the country, I said, hey, why not just make an ebook and people can download it on their phone? How amazing would that be? So I want to gift this to you because in this book, not only do I go through my whole story, but 3 choices I'm going to share here today. And that way you have this as a resource, and when you put your name and your email, I will email you a link, and you can download it and have it on your phone. Sound great or sound great? Yep. Awesome. Thank you. So 3 choices. I'm going to write these down, we're going to review these, and then you're going to get the information. The first one is becoming and locking the superhero within you. You got to visualize your victory. Visualize your victory. Now, to keep the energy high, and one of the ways we learn is kinesthetically. So when I say visualize your, if everyone goes victory, my whole highlight coming to South Dakota. And last night, when the Vikings scored a touchdown, what did you all do, Viking fans? Yes! Now let me ask you this. What's more important? The Vikings or what you do at Wildest World?
Don't ask.
He said don't ask. But see, you got to change it. But see, you got to realize so often we think other people are the superhero. But to those people who connect with their family and friends, those people who connect to their businesses because of what you do, what's more important?
What we do at Wildest World.
Absolutely. You realize that? To you, you're superheroes. So once again, to learn kinesthetically, oh, we got Clark Clint here. Wow, amazing. So, once again, when I say visualize your, if everyone just goes victory, my whole highlight. Here we go. Visualize your victory. How good does that feel? Wake up in the morning, victory. So you go back in the store, right? Walk through the front door, victory. Or maybe when you leave for the day, victory. There's a timeless truth that says where there's no vision, the people perish. As we move into 2020, what's the number one victory you want to achieve? Because you got to set your intention and make it your attention. Set your intention and make it your attention. So you're the manager. How many managers do we have here?
Everybody.
So how come not everyone's raising their hand? No. They're right. I'm just playing. So let me ask you this. What victory do you want to achieve by the end of the year? And if I were to go to your store and I'd ask each one of your employees, what victory do you want to achieve as a store by the end of the year, would they know that answer? Yep. Amazing. But it's not enough just to visualize your victory. The second choice I want to give to you, please repeat after me, take action.
Take action.
Now, once again, we learn kinesthetically. So when I say take action, if everyone would go A for action, that would be amazing. All right, here we go. Take action. Because it's not what you know, it's what you do. Please write this down. This is huge. 10-3-1. 10-3-1. One of the most practical things I'll share with you today that'll help you. 10-3-1. Write the number down, 10-3-1. Because ultimately, it's not what you know, it's what you do. Because let me ask you, How many of you already got great information from being here today? But here's the key. See, I go to like meetings like this, and I get so fired up, I get so pumped up, I have all these ideas. I can't wait for Monday morning. I'm going to change the whole world. I mean, I feel like Superman, right? I'm going to change it all. Then Monday morning came along, and I got paralysis by analysis, and I got overwhelmed. It's like, where am I going to start? So I want to encourage you. At some point, you're going back to the office, going back to your stores. Write down the top 10 things you got from this meeting. Top 10 ideas, top 10 things you want to implement, top 10 things you want to give to those you lead. And then you circle 3. And then you pick the one thing that you're going to put into action. And you focus on that. And then you do that one thing, and then you go to the second thing. Let me give you an example. So around Valentine's Day of 2004, I slipped unconscious state. Against all odds, I recovered, and the first thing I remember, I'm sitting in a hospital bed, and I have these tennis shoes on. And there's a physical therapist in the room with my dad. And my dad, he walks over, and just like when I was 5 years old, he knelt down and tied my shoes. I was a 25-year-old man. I couldn't tie my own shoes. And I think back, if only they would have been Velcro, that would have solved the whole problem. And after they tied my shoes, they helped me to stand up. And I remember they put one arm around the physical therapist. Then they put one arm around my dad. They took my left leg and picked it up and put it in front of my right. Took my right leg, picked it up, put it in front of my left, one by one, as I had to relearn how to walk. And that day, even with their help, I couldn't go 5 yards. And I was exhausted. And they put me in a wheelchair and they wheeled me back to my hospital room. As I laid there in my hospital room, I got this crazy idea of running a marathon. And to this day, I'm pretty sure it was all the medication they had me on. I mean, 26.2 miles. I couldn't even go 5 yards. I couldn't even tie my shoes. But I laid there in my bed, I visualized running this marathon, but I knew it was going to happen the next day, the next month, or the next year. And so I took that big vision, and I broke it down to one simple thing: to take action. And that was one step. One step. And after I took that first step, my goal was to make it down the hospital hallway and back. And 2 years and 4 months after visualizing 2 years and 4 months after taking, I made it to my very first marathon, the San Diego Rock and Roll. And there I was, 22,000 other people, and over the loudspeaker, they're playing my favorite song, Beautiful Day, and then the national anthem. And I'm waiting for the starting gun to fire, and right before the starting gun fired, this little voice in the back of my head spoke up. You see, the biggest challenge you'll face, the biggest challenge the people you lead will face, the biggest challenge your customers, they walk through their front door, face, is the limiting beliefs, the negative self-talk, the self-defeating inner dialogue. Third and final choice I want to share with you. You got to visualize your victory. You got to take action. But the final one is, please take your index finger, point to your head, and say, elevate your attitude. Charles Swindoll said it best: the single most significant decision you can make on a day-to-day basis is your choice of attitude. Let's demonstrate. Right here, I have my best-selling book. Every Mile of Marathon is an action strategy. Lessons I learned from going through cancer, running marathons around the world. Retails for $11.95. Who would like to have this book for free? So you got to visualize your victory. But it's not enough to visualize your victory, is it? Because in order to get it, you got to take action. So how can you take action to get this book?
Ask for it.
How can you take action to get this book? You gotta, how can you take action? How can you take action? There you go, we got one. How can you take action? How can you take action? Man, you're climbing through the things. You see, wait a second, all right, we got more. Right, we got more. Here we go, how can you take action? How can you take action? Pass them around. Wow, here we go. Wow, here we go. Take action. Look at this. Wow. Amazing.
Thanks, man.
All right, who else? Amazing. We got more. We got more. We got more.
Take it out right here. Oh, perfect.
Right there. All right. Whoa, watch out for that. We got some more. Wow, amazing. Look at that. Over the obstacles and everything.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you.
One for me and Pam.
Awesome. All right. Okay. Wow.
Thank you.
I feel like Justin Bieber right now. We got a couple more. Let's see. We got some more. Oh no.
Thank you.
The rest of my talks will not get them, but you all took action. Very good. Awesome.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. Awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause for that. You see, amazing.
Thank you.
You see, in order to take action, and you had a bunch of obstacles. You had to do what? You had to elevate your attitude. Visualize your victory, take action, elevate your attitude. Too blessed to be? Too grateful to be? Your ego is not your? Love the good? Ooh, very good. Let's see, what else we got? Upon a couple books, here we go. 8 marathons and 8 continents. San Diego, there's Rome, there is Tokyo, Perth, Cape Town, Antarctica, Chile, and the newly discovered continent of Zealandia. How many knew that in 2017 they discovered a new continent called Zealandia? Google it. Yeah, 94% of it is underneath the water. It's located in New Zealand. Crazy, huh? Too blessed to be stressed. Real quickly. Every day you get over 100,000 heartbeats. You have over 23,000 breaths. 86,400 seconds are given to you every single day. 71% of the world's population lives off of less than $10 a day. You see, what happens is so many people, when they wake up, they focus on the negative. They focus on the stresses versus the blessings. Because let me ask you, if you were to add up all those, 100,000 plus 23,000 plus 86,400 approximately equals what? A lot. I love it. Approximately 200,000. Now think about this. Just off 3 things, you have over 200,000 blessings every single day. How amazing is that? Now just think, if there's 5 other people you care about in the world, and I think there's more than 5 people here you care about. What's 5 times 200,000? 1 million. Did you realize you're a millionaire? A multimillionaire? A billionaire? Because would you trade any one of those blessings for any amount of money? Well, some of you are thinking about that, but let me give you an example. Any race car fans in the room? Like Formula One, NASCAR? Okay, we have like 4. I thought we have more. Okay, well, never mind that example. Not far enough south? You guys are not in Florida or Mississippi. Okay, now let me ask you this question. Then how many like to drive fast? Can I see your hand? Like drive fast. Okay, there we go. Maybe you want to be a race car driver. So I used to live in California. And in California, they have these race car driving schools. And one of the things they taught you is what to do when you spin out of control. And they tell you, don't focus on the wall, but focus where you want to go on the track. Because where you place your attention, where you place your focus, is where you'll end up. And what a great metaphor for life. What a great metaphor for leadership. Because part of your job as leaders is to help people focus on where you want to go. Because so many people will focus on the wall, will focus on the challenges, will focus on the stresses. And here I was, the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon. Those negative thoughts in my head. They kept going. I said, Matt, what are you doing here? You've had cancer. You're 1 year removed from chemotherapy. You're on medication. You can't do this. The average person, up to 80% of their thoughts are negative. That's why on a daily basis, you've got to feed yourself positivity. You've got to pull those weeds of negativity. You got to focus on the blessings versus the stresses. And so I told that voice 2 words, hush up. Bang, the starting gun fired, and off we went. And what a feeling it was coming down the final stretch. We had gone 26 miles. I never realized how far 0.2 miles could be. And I crossed the finish line. Victory, victory. And they came, they hung a medal around me, and even though I got I think it was 18,158, I had no shame, because to me, it was the Olympic gold medal. And then my girlfriend, the time she ran up to me, we embraced, and she looked up in my eyes, and she said, Matt, an 83-year-old man beat you. She's no longer my girlfriend. But we wish her all the best in her life. And the greatest finish line I crossed was Mother's Day 2004. When I walked out of the hospital, successful bone marrow transplant, cancer-free. And that was 15 years ago. And when the doctor walked in that morning, and he said, Matt, you get to go home. The first thing I did was pick up the phone, and I called my mom. And I said, Mom, happy Mother's Day. I get to go home. And she said, Matt, this is the greatest Mother's Day gift ever. We're about ready to wrap this up, and I have one last thing I want to share with you. And I call this the ultimate choice. But before I share that ultimate choice, I want to share one last story. You see, after my bone marrow transplant, even though it was successful, because the cancer had spread to my brain, they wanted to do follow-up chemotherapy. And as you know, there's pluses and minuses of chemotherapy, especially in your brain. I had 10 treatments scheduled, went through 9 of them. Everything was looking great. So I asked my doctor, I said, Doc, do I need this last treatment? What's the medical literature say? And he said, Matt, there is no medical literature. There's never been someone who had what you had be here a year later. And I said, well, Doc, keep doing what you're doing. And sometimes I wonder, why me? Why have I been so blessed to wake up today? So blessed to take a breath in and a breath out. And the reason why I'm so blessed is the reason why you're so blessed. And I want to leave you with this. The last choice, I call it the ultimate choice. And that's the choice to serve. And if you would please, as we close this out, take your index finger. I want you to look at that fingerprint once again, because that fingerprint, that's proof of your superpower, of your unique and special purpose that only you can bring to this world. And the very fact that you woke up today, the very fact that you took a breath in and a breath out proves that there's something more for you to give to this world. And as leaders, every day an opportunity to help people to connect their family, their friends, personally and professionally. And how amazing and how awesome that is. And so what I want to do to close out my time, but okay with you, we could celebrate your victories and your success. Would that be all right? Yep. Let me ask you that again. Would that be all right? Yeah. So what I want to do is I want you to picture metaphorically the marathon that you have, that you want to cross. And what we're going to do together is we're going to cross the finish line together. And when we cross the finish line, we're going to go victory, victory, victory 3 times. We'll make lots of noise, then 2 big high fives, and Vince will come back up. Sound great or sound great? Now, if you want to, please stand up, put on your running shoes, or you can sit, but if you want to, put those running shoes on. We'll get moving out for lunch. We've gone 26.1 miles, and we're coming down the final stretch. Here we go. We crossed the finish line all together. Victory, victory, victory. Lots of noise. And 2 big high fives. And if you can see it, believe it's possible, you can do it. Amazing. Please be seated and give our attention to Vince.
Let's stand up and give a round of applause.
Woo! Victory. Victory.
Very, very inspirational. Thank you for sharing your experience and your wisdom with us. It's awesome to see from my opening speech to, as you guys know, I talk about attitude, gratitude so often. How I knew a little bit what Matt was going to talk about. I did not realize that he was going to talk the terms and the points that he did to that detail, and how well it ties in with wireless. Isn't that awesome? And our attitude of gratitude and all the things that we stand for, and our superpowers, they just did a great, great job. So let's give one more round of applause.